Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
This is Banned from Ringside.
Tonight on the Banned from Ringside podcast, we recap WWE's Clash of the Champions pay-per-view. We talk about G1 nights 5, 6, and 7. We also give you the Wednesday Night Wars. That's and our NXT TakeOver predictions. That and a whole bunch more tonight on the Banned from Ringside podcast.
Breathe, my brother, breathe.
I was close to being a real fuck up. Ditch that 9 to 5. It's time to feel alive. Hello, Marks, and welcome to the Banned from Ringside podcast. As always, I'm your host, Bill Vagey, a.k.a. Heater Dinklage. And out there in Edwardsville, Illinois, we have the Chris Wallace to me and Jason's Biden and Trump. Two Beer, Zach Bowman. What's going on, Two Beer?
Oh man, that's accurate.
I'll be to tell you.
You know, I'm not a religious man anymore. I gave up religion quite a while ago, but I'd like to start us off with a brief prayer, real quick.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
Sure.
If you'll indulge. So bow your heads here.
Okay.
Inspired by Jason's biblical references every week. So.
Mm-hmm.
Our Father, who art in Japan, Shingo be thy name. Till G1's done, we'll see no sun until we have watched the A block. Give us this day our daily stars, and keep giving us the best matches. And we forgive Yano for ruining B block, as long as he doesn't beat Naito, who delivered us from evil. Amen.
Amen, baby,
Hey.
amen.
Hey, everybody, that was Banned from Ringside for Two Beer, Zach Bowman. No,
Yeah, right. It ain't getting no better than that.
And sitting next to me, we have Jason Cornelius Bell, who has to follow that. What's going on, JCB?
It's like the old days in Shock City. Let's just jump to the chase. Episode 175, Chapter 3, Verse 14 of the Good Spark saying, hashtag boo the heels. It is all good, baby. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat. Shout out to Two Beer, Zach Bowman. That was some shit.
Pretty good.
I mean, I would have to sit back and really take like weeks upon weeks to think about it. Not only did he talk about Shingo and the loaded A block, but he threw in Yano, fuck Yano, and how much I love Naito and how that would just absolutely have me in the middle of Gravois and Taft ready to just lay my life down in the middle of the street to have God take it. Thank you.
I can't wait to get to the Yano versus Evil match. I cannot wait to get to the Yano versus Evil match. Jason Cornelius Bell is in the basement. Zach is in Illinois, as we said. But we're all three here. We're all going to talk some wrestling today. It's one of those good weeks where there's going to be a lot of good weeks as long as the G1 is here. But it's one of those good weeks where there's tons of stuff to talk about, including predictions for what's turned out to be, you know, a put-together pay-per-view. Seemed like it was thrown together at the last minute, but there's some matches on here that
there's some matches that pique my interest.
See.
Yeah, for sure.
We're coming at you from beautiful South City, St. Louis. I'm telling you, it is nice here in St. Louis.
Dude, these are like the 3 weeks of the year where it's okay to live here.
It's just, I mean, seriously, it's just absolutely perfect outside. But before we get too far into it, Jason, why don't you tell us about F&B Eatery?
F&B Eatery on the corner of 3453 Southampton, and Marquette. Go get your smash burgers, people. It's that time. It's starting to get a little colder, so that way you can get your comfort food in. Go get mom and kids off your back, slide on through. Gift cards, you know who you are. Slide into the BFR pod DMs, send the address. I will send you 2 gift cards of your choosing for answering the questions correctly last week. Outside of that, everybody else has to not meet me there, beat me there. F&B Eatery, corner of 3453 Southampton and Marquette. Tell them that Banned from Ringside sent you.
We also want to point out to the people, the listeners that got to us on Twitter, you guys do have some free shit coming to you. Jason and I had a very long podcast last week. Zach was in it for Zach. We went like 2 hours and 10 minutes last week or something.
He got out just in the nick of time.
Yeah, you really did. We got into it, and we also got into some beers. So I'm sorry if I forgot that I offered to give you something for saying the password okra, because I had some people adding me on Twitter saying okra, and I was like, yeah, I know that means something, but what the fuck does it mean?
Line them up. We'll figure it out.
Dude, I started getting mentions that said okra, and I'm like, what is this? And then I'm like, it must be something that like Bill and Jason did for like a contest.
Okay,
and
so
4 days later, Bill texts me and he's like, "What's okra?" And I'm like, "I don't know, man."
I was gone. So everybody that mentioned okra, slide into the DMs, banned from ringside at BFR Pod on Twitter, BFR JCB, BFR Bill, BFR Zach, BFR Gucci Chris. Any one of those, we will figure it out, and we will start sending the gift cards out ASAFP.
All right, and without further ado, let's get to that 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
JCB, what's the 1 count?
Going to go back to Sunday night, a Clash of Champions card that felt fairly predictable, but god damn, this was good. I will be the first to admit it. I hate when I have to say that I'm wrong because I love saying when I'm right. I had very, very low expectations for this, and we are now rewatching the Curtain Jerker ladder match, which I will still say stole the show. It was the match of the night. This and the main event were 2 of the best storytelling matches that WWE has done in a very, very long time. More so,
at the very least, in the pandemic era.
In the pandemic era, hands down. I said Firefly Funhouse was amazingly smart, and it made you think. These 2 matches supersede that. So if you want to put these as 1 and 2 for me as the pandemic era, so be it. If I had to choose one or the other, I lean slightly towards the ladder match just because the ladder match had the action to complement the storytelling. But as much as I hate to say it, Roman Reigns as a heel has me completely intrigued. The way that they told this story, and everybody and their mama knew that Jey Uso was there to basically, like Roman said, get the paycheck and get that ass kicked. He got that ass kicked, but it was still intriguing. It had me all the way until the very end, until the credits rolled up. I played this like a takeover. I was not going to move until that screen went black. Everything in between was okay. That's where I think the predictability kind of comes into play. Like Bayley retains over, it wasn't even Nikki Cross. They brought back Asuka, and then you get Sasha Banks to come in. So you kind of continue that storyline. The pre-show, obviously, Shinsuke and Cesaro retain. No disrespect to Drew and Randy Orton. That was in the middle. I think that was kind of the midpoint moment where we got things back on track. I didn't necessarily have a problem with the legends coming out. It made sense in the storyline. Well, not even the storyline, in the match itself. Everybody that Randy wronged comes back in some form or fashion to kind of, finish him off, which is fine. It just, for me, that was the 3rd best match of the night, and I've been a big proponent of Drew McIntyre and a lot of his matches, especially in the pandemic era. But for me, the biggest takeaway for this pay-per-view was the remarkable storytelling that was finally done with a roster that has been begging for this to be done. They finally got this shit right for the most part. The beginning, the middle, the end, everything else was, to me, was just filler.
Zach, what was your big takeaway?
Oh, man, Roman Reigns is awesome. And this Roman Reigns is the best Roman Reigns we've ever seen. And it's not just because he took his shirt off, but that is part of it. This, like Jason said, storytelling was awesome. The other thing I was surprised about was that they ended the show with it. Because, man, like, it was, like, kind of brutal, right? Like, it was kind of visceral. And, like, it left, like, kind of a bummer note, right? And then right before that, you had, like, this baby face, like, triumphant with, like, legends that I feel like would have been a much more appropriate way to end the show. But I guess maybe if you don't have a crowd, it's not as big of a deal. But I feel like that was a more appropriate way to end the show. So the order seemed a little wonky. But, like, also all of the legends getting involved, like Jason said, it makes sense storyline wise. But like I feel like it would have been better if they all just like would have done a spot at the very end. Instead, like Randy Orton looks like an ultimate like baby face, like triumphantly overcoming the odds like 4 separate times in the match. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
no, I said it on Twitter. I was like, at a certain point, I was like, okay, see, now I'm rooting for Randy Orton at this point. I totally agree. Yeah.
So, you know, just like that, you know, that's a Vince thing. You know, it's just like it is what it is. But yeah, like I said on Twitter earlier, that ladder match was phenomenal, like super creative. That spot, like, it's like Sami Zayn sat at home for 6 months and just like thought up a bunch of cool shit. And, you know, putting a handcuff through Jeff Hardy's earlobe and AJ throwing like a ladder, like a spear at Sami Zayn while he's on a ladder. Just all kinds of crazy spots. Like, I mean, usually ladder matches like are very cringeworthy, and there were definitely some cringe-inducing moments in this one, but it was a lot more about creativity than just like total spot monkey stuff, which is kind of surprising considering like who's in it, right? But yeah, the middle of the pay-per-view was just like Raw. It's like it's just like another episode of Raw, SmackDown, or like whatever. But the bookends were really nice.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say to that. I'll just piggyback off the ladder. The ladder match was spectacular, and like Sami Zayn said on his Twitter, he goes, maybe I'm still just on the high of it, but that was my favorite televised match of the last 3 or 4 years. I don't doubt it at all. Sami Zayn as El Generico and Kevin Steen, before he was Kevin Owens, had the ladder wars in ROH where they had like, I don't even know the number. They had a bunch, like 7 or 8 ladder matches between the two. Like, I mean, he's one of the best ladder match guys of all time. And then, of course, you have Jeff.
Whenever they were in the Money in the Bank together, remember that? Or was it Money in the Bank or was it an IC title match like a few years ago where like it started out and the first thing that Sammy did was haluva kick Kevin Owens, and then Kevin Owens like killed him on like the edge of the ladder.
Yeah. I want to say it was an Intercontinental match, but don't quote me on that.
But then you have Jeff Hardy, who's
right,
like, one of the
modern
complete
day
innovators.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't in the first ladder match, but he was in the first TLC match.
Right.
Which was in
He'll probably be in the last ladder match.
Yeah. Well, it'll be his last match.
See?
But and then you have AJ Styles, who is good at everything.
He can bump with the best of them.
These guys, and it's on the TV right now, these guys were unbelievable. I had less of a problem with the Legends. I know that it kind of makes Randy Orton look like a babyface because he was fighting the odds. At the same time, we bitch about no long-term storytelling with WWE a lot. This was the heel getting his comeuppance.
Yeah.
This is what they call a payoff. You know, he spent the entire summer punt kicking all these guys into oblivion, and then they all come back and, you know, fuck him in
a match that you can say fuck him to.
Yes, exactly. And then you have that moment on Raw where Drew McIntyre's in the ring with all these legends, and it didn't seem premature because we know how long Drew McIntyre's been around. It's not just Big Show saying that he endorses Drew McIntyre. Big Show used to work against Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre used to work against Christian. You know, these are some of these guys can be considered his contemporaries, even though they're a little bit older. The Roman Reigns match, though, versus Jey Uso was so much better than it had any business being.
Amen.
Roman Reigns is a natural heel, just a completely natural heel who has no problem throughout the entire 26-minute match or 23-minute match or whatever he was, staying in character the whole time. This is one of the advantages of having the place set up where there's not a bunch of screaming fans, because they know exactly how to mic it, and you could hear everything that Roman Reigns was saying, and it didn't take away from the match. It didn't feel like it was a dead crowd match or anything. It was intense. Roman Reigns was in character the entire time, was playing his character perfectly the entire time, and Paul Heyman also added a bunch to the match. I absolutely loved it. I saw some people on Twitter defending WWE, saying everybody wanted Roman Reigns to turn heel. This is the perfect time to turn him heel because he has all this shit behind him. Wrong! If you would have started doing this 2 years after, it would have been just as good. Obviously, the guy is a natural heel, and you wasted all these years. And I hate to be the smarky fucking internet wrestling dork, but he would have been just as good in this role 2 or 3 years ago. Am I wrong, Zach?
Dude, just imagine if they would have turned him heel 4 years ago. They would have never had to do all this, like, you know, things this wonky stuff they did, like the booking to like try to make sure that he doesn't get booed. Just like let him.
Probably never would have gotten cancer again.
Wow. Let me get the hell away from you. You about to get struck.
That's a Zach joke.
Yeah, and he would get struck almost if he was sitting there saying that shit. Go ahead, Two Beer.
Just imagine him being a heel, you know, for as long as Ambrose was a face, right? Ambrose was a face like that whole time, like 4 years or whatever. Imagine him being a heel that whole time and soaking it all in. And then he gets the cancer and he comes back and he's the biggest baby face in the world because he's already gotten over as a heel. Instead, he's now this ultimate survivor and he should be the biggest baby face in the world, but he can't be because he's never been a heel. So they finally got to pull the trigger. It is great. Like I said, he rules. Like this is awesome. But like it's not too late. It's overdue.
It's overdue, and I just want to reiterate that I don't think anybody ever had problems with Reigns as a talent. It was just like with his limited moveset and a moveset that doesn't exactly strike you as babyface, that he would, and with a guy that looks the way that he does, he just would have been a better heel. I remember talking a long time ago, because I think where we spin this forward now is Roman Reigns telling the Usos, hey, dude, I'm the chief of the tribe. I think they're going to have to reluctantly be his henchmen now. I hope
like fall in, right?
Yeah, I hope that's what happens. What do you think, Jason?
Ooh, okay. That's three things.
It's a lot of stuff.
No, I was going to say, number one, you kind of stole my thunder on the moveset comment. His moveset is a heel moveset. It's not a lot, but it doesn't have to be a lot. Okay, I think that's the way he moved in the ring was perfect. It was deliberate. It felt like this was a beatdown and you're making me do this. It was more psychological than actual moves. Okay, so for those like us involved that knock him for his 5 moves of doom, his 5 moves of doom as a heel are perfect now at this point. He doesn't have to do much. So that's the first thing.
It would have been the same for Cena, by the way.
Would have been the same for Cena. Cena would have, as a heel, I'm sorry, it would have been just ridiculous towards the end. I think, secondly, we're forgetting about the elephant in the room, which is Brock Lesnar. Now, Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns were still in the company at the time. So, I mean, Vince had to make a decision about who to hitch his wagon to. He hitched it to Brock Lesnar. Right, wrong, or indifferent, that's what he did. So, any wonky kind of booking is a result of the fact that he said, you know what, my biggest superstar on this roster is Brock Lesnar. So we're going to make things go that route. When we were at Shock City, when, what was that? When they went over to Saudi and Roman lost the match where Roman went through the cage or some nonsense like that. It was really wonky booking. And Roman, they both went through the cage, but like Roman's foot hit down in the cage first, so Brock won. Shit like that where you knew Roman Reigns had no business losing and he lost anyway. That's wonky booking, and that's Vince saying, hey, you know what? I like Roman, but I love Brock more. And the third thing, just to go back to the henchmen, I kind of said it already, and I didn't go this route where they're reluctant henchmen, but that would almost make it more perfect to where now Jimmy and Jay are sympathetic figures because the tribal chief tells them to do this is what I want you to do, and you got to do it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Then you can start to get everybody else in, and ultimately if the end game is Roman versus The Rock, that's how you can get The Rock in. Hey, you know what? You motherfuckers are going out of control. Roman, you getting out of pocket. I'm here to get everything back in line. That's how you can get Roman versus Rock WrestleMania 37.
So, but I mean, Roman's got to go over, right?
He better go over.
I mean, he goes over every other time.
No, he better go over.
I don't think that we can really discount how good Jey Uso was in this match, though, either. He sold the shit out of it. He was telling the same story that Roman. I was watching it, and I was thinking how good it was, and I was like, man, I'm so happy for these guys who are cousins to be in this match, this huge match together, and for Jey to be the one that can make Roman look so fucking good. Now, Roman looked good on his own, but man, that was really it. That was a spectacular storytelling type of match. I mean, really, the type of stuff that WWE doesn't really do all that well, all that often.
Dude, that Go Home show, I wasn't really into this program that much until Friday. I actually watched SmackDown. I turned it on Hulu because I saw on Twitter that the final angle was good. And dude, like Jey Uso killed that promo. I mean, so did Reigns, but like that whole thing, he says, you know what they say when they see me? Which
one are you? That was the line. Yeah, that was the line where I was like, okay, yeah, you're right. Because how many times have we said it just in passing? We can't tell one or the other. Tinder Mahal, God bless his soul, he worked for WWE. He got them mixed up every fucking time. So that line right there really resonated. And then you had Roman come out, hit the Superman punch. By that point, I was like, okay, let's get this match going. And then you knew who was going to win, but they still had me hooked the whole way.
It was intriguing for sure. Real quick aside, I was at the chiropractor yesterday getting some acupuncture, and while he's putting the needles in, my phone starts ringing on the table next to me, and I've been going to my chiropractor for a while, and I go, hey, Pat, who's calling? And he leans over, he goes, that is Tinder Mahal. He goes, is there a story behind that? I go, no, it's my buddy. He's Indian. His name's Tinder Mahal.
Oh my God.
You're racist?
Oh my God.
But, I mean, this is one of those WWE pay-per-views that they bust out every once in a while that you have really low expectations for, and that just comes through unbelievably, and I'm really happy for all the performers. There's some other things. You know, I want to point this out that Jason said how predictable it was except for the bookends, but it obviously wasn't too predictable because Jason picked Randy Orton to win. I picked McIntyre.
Dude, okay, so go through the rest now since you're going to pick that one out.
I just want to say that Jason won the week with 8 points.
Thank you. 8 out of 9, correct?
8 out of...
Only missed the Randy Orton-Drew McIntyre match, correct?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I threw out the Nikki Cross-Bailey because it wasn't Nikki Cross. And we have no idea who's going to win. I can't...
Yeah, you didn't know what? So let me get this straight.
I came in second with 7. And Zach, I had a terrible week. Zach had 0.
He had stained his votes for the week. He had to go do with the dad thing. I'll just say this: you going to sit up here and tell me that Bailey was going to lose?
I mean, we don't
know.
No.
Hell no.
We don't know what. We don't know what they were going to do.
Hell no.
We don't know
That's
what they were going to do.
why they brought Asuka out. God, okay, and that okay. See, there it is. And let me just get this out for 30 seconds. We give shit to AEW's women's division because of lack of depth, poor storytelling, yada, yada, yada. Okay. So you're in not the Performance Center, but the Thunderdome. Pretty much everybody's there. And you know that Nikki Cross pretty much is not going to be able to perform. I'll give WWE credit for a lot of the storytelling that they did up to this point. You got a roster full of motherfuckers back there, and you pull out Asuka of all people.
Well, I mean, she was ready to wrestle. You know, like everybody else wasn't even prepared.
Dude, stop. Just have Bailey come out, cut a promo, run down Sasha, have Sasha come out, beat her with the chair. You skip the whole Asuka thing. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Let him book the territory. Any other thoughts on this pay-per-view? Two Beer?
I think if we do have a new Beefer Award for the lame-seeming WWE pay-per-view that actually turns out to be a diamond in the rough, we should call it the Great Balls of Fire Award, because that pay-per-view still ruled.
Oh, yeah. Great Balls of Fire was really good. Great Balls of Fire had the 5-way, right? With Samoa Joe and Finn Balor and shit?
I think so.
Yeah, and Brock Lesnar. Yeah.
Okay, see, I'm thinking the Saudi the show. That's why I was getting ready to start talking shit. But no, you're right.
Great Balls of Fire was good.
God damn, Samoa Joe should have been champion. Man, he had a good ass feud against Brock Lesnar. I saw it on fucking Twitter the other day, and I was just like, yeah, they dropped the ball on that one.
Jason, any final thoughts on Clash of the Champions?
No, it was a surprise. It was a good surprise. I didn't feel like they stole my 2.5, 3 hours away. Roman Reigns as a heel is impressive. The ladder match was off the chain. Drew is still champion until Hell in a Cell, and obviously that's going to continue. What happened on Monday night, but all in all, B. No, B minus. The middle was just B minus.
I didn't ask you for a letter grade. Let's get to that 2 count.
1, 2,
This motherfucker.
2 beer. What's the 2 count?
2 count, we got G1, and we got 3 nights. We got 5, 6, and 7. So we got 2 A block nights and a B block night. There was another B block night this morning, overnight, for us here in America.
No, I was about to say some of us got to sleep. I'm not saying that I saw it, but I just get up. No, but I get up stupid early in the morning anyway, just because I know I don't want to get the spoiler when I'm on Twitter. So I just set the alarm for 7:30 or 8. Depending on what time that Joker starts, by the time I wake up, the show's over, I start watching. So that way, no spoilers for your boy, but that's just me.
We've been doing, I have an outdoor projector that I rented from the library. So we've been doing outdoor movie nights every night.
Stop playing.
With the family.
Stop playing.
And so I watched the other nights of G1 this morning. So
tell me you watched it on the big screen.
All morning. Yeah, no, I wish. It was just too light. But
shit, you better
September
be.
27th, man, this night 5 was awesome. It was so awesome. I actually watched this one the other night. I made a meme about this, one of those Vince McMahon memes. You can find it on Twitter because it was so good. Like, Yota Tsuji and Gabriel Kidd started out, just Killer Young Lions match. Gabriel Kidd goes over less than 8 minutes. But these are just really good pro wrestling, athletic competitions. Nothing fancy. A lot of wins by Boston Crab, usually. Very few pinfalls, usually a Boston Crab submission, which doesn't sound particularly exciting, but they're awesome. They're awesome. Don't skip them. Watch them. They're great.
No, when you're sitting on that dude's back and you see Tsuji, jump on somebody's back, I'm like, okay, see, yeah, that's when the Boston Crab looked like that Joker hurt.
Yes. Taichi went over Yujiro in 11 minutes with a Gato clutch. This was fine. This is nothing to write home about. It's Yujiro.
No, it feels like he's going to be that guy that's the automatic 2 points. It's somewhere he might get the upset. He might end up going through this Joker, pointless. But, yeah, he's going to be everybody's automatic 2 points on the A block for sure.
For sure. Then we had Jeff Cobb and Minoru Suzuki, which whenever I saw this, I thought it was going to be a lot crazier than it was, just because Suzuki's a total psychopath and Cobb is a legit strongman, Olympian. It was really good, but it wasn't as nuts as I thought it would be. Suzuki went over with a gotch-style pile driver. Cobb is full-time New Japan now. He's fully signed, but this is his first G1. This is
no. It's the second
G1. Second G1, but still because he was in there last year. But he's not getting a G1 push, right? He looks good, but his score, he's 1-2 now. We still got a tournament to go, half the tournament to go, but Suzuki's going to go over here.
Can I interject here with a question about Jeff Cobb?
Because I might be thinking the same thing, but go ahead.
Is he a legitimate strongman? I don't know.
Not strongman competition, but he was an Olympic wrestler.
He does that gut wrench thing though, and it's really not much more than a hip toss. Everybody sells it like they've been shot by a fucking AK, but I know that he's presented as a strongman, but Suzuki's 52. Your muscle mass starts leaving you when you're around Jason's age. And I mean, I don't know. I like Cobb too, and I think that Cobb is well positioned in the tournament.
Well, I guess my problem with Jeff Cobb is just he doesn't feel like he's signed to New Japan. It just feels like he's kind of there. It was like it was last year. You know what I'm saying? Nothing that really stands out up to this point so far.
Yeah. And, he's not like super young, but he's younger. Like, I think he'll have his time. I don't think he'll ever be like top guy. I feel like he kind of just fills that Michael Elgin spot, right?
Right. Yes.
Strong guy, like good hand, gonna give you a good match.
Gaijin.
Maybe get the Never, maybe get the US. But like I think even the Intercontinental's kind of out of his.
Really?
Unless the fans really get behind him, and because like Juice, the fans really like him. Like people really like Juice in Japan. I feel like Cobb's just got to kind of get that charisma thing going with the fans. But yeah, we'll see how it goes.
He ain't that charismatic, but go ahead.
Yeah. Suzuki goes over, got style pile driver. Jeff Cobb does like a total handstand, which is awesome. He has like no neck. He's just like laying on his head for like a minute. And I love how Suzuki like has to spin you around before he does the gotch. Like he just even if he sets you up, like even if like he reverses a cradle or something, he's still gonna spin you around like one more time. It's funny. So then we had like this is where it starts getting like real good. Like I'm just like I was already just kind of like half staff, but this is like where we start getting like fully erect. It is Kota Ibushi and Tomohiro Ishii, and this is just Ibushi doing an Ishii match, which he totally can because Ibushi is a great striker. But this thing was fantastic. These guys are just going to town on each other. Ibushi does like this deadlift vertical suplex on Ishii, who is not a small man. And Ibushi is not necessarily a big man, but he's very strong. And yeah, just trading blows, trading kicks, trading forearms.
Yeah, when they were laying down next to each other and they just start kicking each other in the head back and forth. And then it just like it raised to a crescendo where they were hitting the shit out of each other. It was really good. Ishii is so valuable to that company.
Yeah. He's the hand. He is the hand.
Yes.
When I see him, Goto, Yoshihashi on a certain level, Taguchi, if we're talking about juniors, in tournament situations like this, I expect them to bring good matches. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not always win, probably not going to win the tournament, but in certain situations, Taguchi is big game Taguchi to me for a reason. You know what I'm saying? He can be comedy, but when it's time to actually have a good match in the best of the Super Juniors, for example, he can pull out a good-ass match, and they book him strong to do that. Same concept resides here. So it's not too much of a surprise that these things happen because they book it as such.
Yeah, I mean, Ishii's just been doing this for years, too, and he's I think he's like 46, and he doesn't wrestle like a light style, like no, it's crazy.
Fuck no,
like,
it's straightforward. Okay, some of the best Ishii, Suzuki, Shingo on a smaller level are guys that are just straightforward. There's not too much, smoke and mirrors to it. You know what I'm saying? It's basically this is what it is. Here's my fastball since it's now baseball season again. Here's my fastball. Hit it if you can.
Although I did hear, I always thought that, he just, and they might do it with some people, they might just, legit beat the shit out of each other. And some of these slaps and stuff, they are open-handed slaps, and they're gonna be stiff, and they're gonna hurt. But, I remember I listened to, an interview with one of these New Japan guys, and somebody asked them, so what's, with these, forums, Ishii, is he just beating the shit out of you? And they're he is the gentlest man. Which makes me like him even more because he makes it look like he brutalizes you, but they're like nothing hurts because he does those throat chops. It looks like he just caves in your Adam's apple and you're never going to be able to breathe again. And he's just that good, to where he can work, which is awesome. Then we get to a rematch of last year's arguable best match of the year. I think it was on every one of our lists for like the Beef Rewards for best match of the year. Will Ospreay versus Shingo Takagi. And this thing starts out with one like 90 to 120 second spot, just one long spot. And it doesn't necessarily look super choreographed because they are going for blood with every punch. Like some of those, like, you know, Ospreay, Ricochet, you know, that's kind of the quintessential example of this, like where they start out, they do a bunch of gymnastics and they mirror each other. And this one was them doing this like choreographed spot, but it didn't look like a dance or anything. It looked like a fight where the other guy was always just one slight step ahead. And it was just obvious from like this moment that these are like two of the best in the world giving you exactly what you came to see. And they did it for 22 minutes and it barely slowed down. And I got to watch it again. Like, just because this thing was just a barrel of fun, so much going on. Oh my, I mean, like, we could like go over like spot for spot and like do a whole podcast like on this match, but you just got to go watch it.
Is that the match of G1 so far?
I think so.
I mean, I have it down as my match of G1. Well, no, Yano Evil.
You ain't shit. Naito Tanahashi, night one. I mean, well, not night one, but night one of the B block. I mean,
yeah, but you're a
that
mark.
was it. That was it for sure.
It's
and I think
if it's not the one, it's as far as I'm concerned, it's in the top 5 for sure. And that's two guys that are quote unquote over the hill. You know, time has passed them by type nonsense. Do not get me wrong. Shingo and Will Ospreay was absolutely fucking amazing. Okay.
Let me ask you this, because Shingo
not as good as the best of Super Juniors. Go ahead.
Let me ask you this: Shingo is 36 years old. Does Shingo ever get the big belt?
No.
Zach?
I would like to say yes, but I don't think so. I think
Okada's
the story that I'm seeing right now is for the last year and like maybe a little bit more is like the story that I'm focused on is Ibushi. Like it's his like slow crawl there, and like the spotlight's on Jay White because he's a former champion. He's definitely a star.
Well, there's just so many guys in front of him.
I think that's it. And he was in Dragon Gate for a long time. He was a Dragon Gate guy, and everybody knows he's one of the best wrestlers in the world. Like, I mean, like literally everybody. Like, he's like a wrestler's wrestler, right? Like, I've heard people say, like, when Shingo is in the ring, if you're not ringside, you're at a monitor. Like, you're watching Shingo wrestle. So I don't know. I would, of course, love to see it, but I don't think so.
He's also got the downtown St. Louis waitress hipster haircut going. That I see like all the like I see all the 23-year-old chicks that run around downtown that come into my bar. They also wear that. Shout out Alyssa, because I think she's the only person that listens to this podcast. I'm not talking about your friends, Alyssa.
Right.
I'm talking about the other ones.
Right, the other ones.
Yeah, but
that's funny. No, I love Shingo. I mean, just as Lij Mark excluded, I think Ibushi has a story to be told. Jay White has a story to be told. Naito has to finish his story before he moves on. And then obviously,
Okada's not done.
And then, yeah, I was going to say, obviously you have Okada. So, I mean.
Well, there was two guys that were brought up right there that were in the match after this. So we all agree that Shingo Ospreay was incredible, right?
Very much so.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
5 stars is something that feels right. That felt like a 5-star match. Maybe it wasn't, but I mean.
It was 4 for sure.
I think
4.
it was definitely 5, and you could
4.
go over. Like, if you are one to go over, you could go over. It's definitely 5.
I don't go over.
No, it's 5 or nothing.
Next up, we had Jay White versus Okada. So.
Bill never goes over. You heard it on the pod first.
Cold-blooded.
Next up, we had Jay White versus Okada. Zach, your thoughts on Jay White versus Okada?
This was really good. This was Okada is hurting, and you can kind of tell that. And maybe it's a lack of a cheering crowd. His match, even though he's still great, his matches kind of lack a spark that they've previously had. I don't know if it's because his lower back's hurting him, or because of the fan interaction, or if he's just so good that he is like literally like setting, like leaning back, right, to like, because he's putting over Jay White here. Like, this is Okada in Jay White mode, and he's done it before. This is not anything new, but he is so good at putting this guy over, and Jay White is so good at getting himself over as the smarmy, slimy heel. Jay White is amazing. Like, he has a very interesting story, and this is his tournament to lose. You know, like, we'll see how it goes.
I agree that Jay White has been incredible in the tournament thus far. I don't think that Okada is kayfabe style.
Kayfabe style.
Like, oh, you know what? I didn't mean kayfabe style. I don't think that he is legit hurt. I think that it is all kayfabe style. I think that they're telling a story. I'm just not sure what the story is, because it seems to me that the story is him trying to get the money clip over. Like, I don't understand what the fuck he's trying to do, because the matches have been slow. Now, the Jay White one was better than the two from nights 1 and 3, where he barely squeaked one out against Takahashi, and I forget, was it Taichi? No, he fights Taichi night 7. But either way, I'm just not sure what the story they're telling. Like, you have one of the best wrestlers in the world. Why are you having him? Why does he keep trying to get this move over? Jason, am I wrong?
No, and there was a time where he had the money clip on and he let it go, and I can't think of who it was. And he had wrist control, and I was like, okay, here comes the Rainmaker, and he didn't do it. And that's why I was just like, okay, now see, this is where I'm just like, I didn't want to subscribe to that theory, but now that you say it again, it makes a little sense. Now, why they're going that route, I don't know. Like I said before, I like it. But then, I mean, if it's not working, then, I mean, that's the definition of insanity.
I think it's a story. He doesn't want to use the Rainmaker anymore. He wants to get the money clip over.
Okay, so then I'll go like this. I haven't seen the backstage comments for the last 2 nights. Has he said anything backstage to compliment this? Because otherwise, then this doesn't make sense. And I would agree with you, because, like I said, there were times where he had chances to do the Rainmaker move and he didn't do it. That just doesn't make sense.
Not that I've heard of.
Okay, well then,
Zach, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know if it's just he's had some interesting decisions. Because this King of Pro Wrestling thing was liner for real, like his idea, right? The thing that took Bill's favorite tournament of the year. So that was like kind of a lukewarm reception, and the money clip's gotten a lukewarm reception, and Okada right now, just generally speaking, just seems kind of lukewarm. And like I said, I don't know if that's by his design. Like, that dude went on the best title reign of our generation. It was the greatest title reign I've ever seen in my entire life. And maybe he just wants a little bit of a break. I don't know.
It is odd the way that he's wrestling right now. Even the way that he wrestled Tai Chi was pretty odd, which we'll get to in night 7. But we should not discount Jay White from this match.
You kind of stole my thunder a little bit.
Jay White is firing on all cylinders, and so is Gato as his man. And I loved it when Gato was telling him, he's like, no, do the Rainmaker. Do the Rainmaker.
And that's why the build to this is totally Jay White, where he said it after the second win or whatever, that, the next match is Okada, and he started to make this build from that point on, and that's what made me really want to see this match. And this is the match that I thought that Jay White was actually going to lose because it kind of felt right. It made sense. Okada gets the comeuppance on the heel, so when Jay White wins, I'm like, okay, so let me get this straight. He's got tiebreakers over Okada and Ibushi. I can't remember who he beat in the middle or whatever, but I mean, that's a fairly big name too. So, I mean, he's got tiebreakers over two guys, then Okada and Ibushi, that I think that most people would favor to win.
Shingo.
Okay, Shingo is a dark horse, but still a good win irregardless. When you have a tiebreaker over Ibushi and Okada, that's basically saying that now Jay White would have to lose twice for them to overtake Jay White. And that's something to say. That's why I'm really starting to think that Jay White's winning the A block. The B block is still kind of in flux or whatever the case may be. We'll talk about that in a second because the reign of terror finally has come to an end. Thank God. Well, I shouldn't say that. Spoiler alert, everybody.
Yeah, we're not even getting into night 8.
Spoiler alert, everybody.
I already knew it, but still.
Thank God.
All right. Any finishing thoughts on Jay White versus Okada, Zach?
No, man, it was really good. Go watch it.
Yoshihashi versus Sanada. Yoshihashi goes over Sanada in the first match of night 6. Zach, what do you think?
That was surprising. I mean, I thought they were kind of telling a little story here with Sonata losing his first 2 matches, and I'm like, oh, well, surely he's going to beat Yoshihashi. I mean, who has given some good matches but hasn't picked up a win. And no, Yoshihashi went over 15 minutes. Just kind of surprising, pretty wild.
Yeah, I agree with that. This is one of those spots where, don't get me wrong, Yoshihashi, if I didn't put him on the list of guys that can, present a good match when need be, so be it, put him on the list. I just really thought that this was the spot that Sonata would come in, have a good match, and then take the win. This is where it's Sonata at 0-3, you're kind of looking, I'm like, okay, now, once again, am I tripping? Is it because he's just not a full-time signed guy like most of these guys are? But, I mean, now look at Jeff Cobb, and Jeff Cobb's kind of getting this lukewarm response. Sonata shouldn't get the same lukewarm response. I mean, granted, he's not on the roster as a full-time wrestler or whatever the case may be. But, I mean, Sonata is good enough to where I don't think he should be losing to a Yoshihashi at this point.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's kind of turning into a Jannetty, right? Evil got 2 belts, and Sonata's just floating out in the ether.
Right, and that's why I was kind of what good thing we're on the B block, because we can talk about Evil here in a second. I think, and I said it on Twitter, I think that the people that had a problem with Evil being double champion, the start of this G1 is kind of, fed fuel to that fire. He feels like maybe the IC champion, a definite never open weight champion, but I think the double champion was totally done just because the pandemic came in and it threw a curveball in Gato's long-term 1 or 2 year long-term planning. If you really believe that he plans 2 years down the line, then yeah, this is going to fuck some shit up. I just think that Evil is who he is. He's probably a mid-card guy at best. Dick Togo hasn't done much for me at this point, and the start of this G1 is kind of lead credence to that fact that he is who he is, and he's only going to go so far.
How'd you guys get to Evil already?
We're on B-Block, baby.
Yeah, I know, but Evil wasn't until the 4th match. I thought
we just started talking about,
and it's like 2 sides of the coin because they were tag team for so long.
Gotcha. Okay, all right.
And by the way, Dick Togo totally stole the name of my carryout service, so Dick to go.
Zack Sabre Jr. loses to Kenta. I really enjoy this match, as I enjoy all Zack Sabre Jr. matches. Kenta wins with a go to sleep.
Fuckery at its best. This is why I like heel to heel. And then once again, if people say heel versus heel doesn't work, show them this match.
Oh, I mean, we got Ospreay White coming up in night 7, which worked really well. Yeah, they are. Oh, Will Ospreay's a heel. You're off mic. Don't talk to me when you're off mic. Zach, what you think about this match?
Yeah, it was good. It was definitely more of a Kenta match than a Zack Sabre match, if that makes sense. There was definitely Zack Sabre stuff in it, but there was a lot more striking than technical wrestling. So, but yeah, it was good.
And then up next, we have Tanahashi versus Juice Robinson. Now, I have to ask a question that may seem a little insensitive. Is Juice Robinson black at all?
I don't think so.
So he always had those dreadlocks, but he wasn't a black guy, because now he looks like a
No,
total
he was
white
like
guy.
he was a hippie.
Oh my
He was
god!
hippie dreadlocks.
I gotta say, I always thought he was a black guy. I mean,
Are you serious? No, he's just like a really tan dude he's from Joliet, Illinois. Just like I think he's just a tan white guy, a hippie guy with dreadlocks. Like 11 of the guys that I know from college.
I had no idea. Like, his new look kind of fucks me up.
I like the Blues Brothers look. I don't think he's. I don't know, man. I mean, the hair is.
Blues Brothers look. When's his Blues Brothers? Is this his Blues
That's what
Brothers
he's got
look?
going on right now.
I
Like
think he looks
black-
like. I think he looks like American Psycho. I think he looks like
Christian Bale?
Patrick Bateman.
Patrick Bateman. Yes.
No, this is definitely Blues Brothers. Like, he comes out, he's got the top hat and the Ray-Bans, and
Nobody in the
Joliet.
Blues Brothers wore a top hat.
not top hat, fedora, whatever, not top hat. You know what I meant. He gets a
Jesus
total
Christ.
Blues Brothers get up though.
Dude,
Yeah,
I'm
'cause he's from-
watching this while I'm working. Like, I'm fast forwarding through the entrances. I gotta be honest.
Okay, so then you don't.
So I'll
Never
defer
mind.
to you guys. That's
Okay,
fine.
thank
I'll
you. That's
defer
all I
to
had to
you
say.
guys. I just thought he was a black guy. Tanahashi versus Juice.
I said the hair.
I thought he was more Otis Day than John Belushi, but apparently not. Tanahashi versus Juice. Tanahashi goes over. It was a great match. I loved it.
My favorite part about it was that like I said, the crowd really liked Juice, and like they totally thought that he called the left hand for God or whatever, and he set him up for the pulp friction before the roll up. Like they thought that was like the end, you know, like they were like totally ready for Juice over Tanahashi.
No, I think that's kind of the running storyline coming away from New Japan Road, Summer Struggle, all that other shit is now Tanahashi ain't Tanahashi like he was a year ago. This would have been a slam dunk. This would have not even have been an issue. But as this match went along, the story was, this is a step slower Tanahashi. He misses the high fly flow. He's just, Juice going away from the ring, holding up, ooh, almost had you. It's not the same Tanahashi, but that's good. That's the story I like to see. Father Time catching up to everybody, and Tanahashi is just the next one in line that it's catching up to. It's great.
Father Time catching up.
For sure.
We had
Still chasing my black ass.
All right, so Yano versus Evil is about 4.5 minutes. Let me ask you. Yano goes over. I just want I know that you don't hate Yano as much as you say you do.
No, that's just irrational.
I know that you're just kind of playing it up because it's part of your persona. But do you think that a guy like Evil enjoys having a Yano match every once in a while? Because every time you see these guys, it might be almost like a night off for them too. Like Evil gets to go in, have a fun little 4 or 5 minute match with Yano. He knows that he's getting a night off, so he doesn't mind going in there and selling for Yano. This was a low blow match. It was a match all about low blows. There were about 8 low blows in the last minute
of fuckery.
a bunch of fuckery. 8 low blows. Yano ends up going over. He ends up doing a double low blow to
Togo
to Evil.
and Evil. I'm just
Yes.
like, God damn, dude, what the fuck?
So I just want you to say it here, like,
Fuck Yano.
No, I just want you to say it here. Like, pretend I'm Chris Wallace, you're Donald Trump, and I'm asking you to just denounce white supremacy. But I'm Bill Vagey, a.k.a. Heater Dinklage.
Right.
And I'm asking you, Jason Cornelius Bell, tell the people right now
I don't know
that
if I can do this.
That you're actually okay with Yano. Say it. I'll cut off your mic.
You got to come over here and get it.
No, I got the system right here. I got
True
it up
story.
right here.
Yano, stand back and stand by.
Cold-blooded. That's great. Honestly, this is why I hate Yano.
Zach, that's
That's great.
funny.
That's so fucking great. God damn, that's why I love you right there. Okay, see, that's why I didn't watch the debate. Okay, number one, I know who I'm voting for. And number two, I cannot sit there and lose the small brain cells I have listening to that jabroni. Ugh.
It was honestly unwatchable. I had to turn it off, and I usually eat up shit like that. It was unwatchable, even at a pro wrestling level.
That's what a lot of people are saying, that this is very reminiscent of watching pro wrestling.
If anybody's out there and they're like, well, this is just the way the country is now, it's like, no, if you watch that shit and you blame anybody except for putting 100% of the blame on Donald Trump, then you're just both sides and everything, and you just don't get it. All right, there you go, Micah.
This is like, it was 2001 WCW level. That's how bad it was. And it's like watching 2001 WCW and like blaming Vince McMahon for it. It's like, no, like he didn't have anything to do with it. Like, yeah, he was in the wrestling business.
Right.
He was on the other side.
Right.
But no, they were just literally, they had a reign of terror. It was, they sunk a multi-million-dollar business that was the biggest profits in wrestling history, and they drove it into the ground. Kind of like Trump's done to every one of his businesses.
See,
but
2 hours saved right there, ladies and gentlemen.
Just like Donald Trump, who refused to denounce white supremacy, you have refused to just say that Yano is okay.
Damn.
So you guys are on the same page. So we'll go back. We'll go over.
He's heating up.
We'll go over to Zach Pullman. And Zach Pullman, what you think about Yano versus Evil? It was fun, right?
Definitely. I mean, more nut shots in the last compilation video that I jerked off to. So it was pretty okay.
And I'll just say, just
too late.
So everybody can just be happy for 30 seconds.
All right.
And you can see it on Twitter. This is the one time I will pick Yano under any circumstances. Benedict Arnold versus Yano, I'm picking Yano.
No.
Every day, twice on Sunday. No, you can't beat Benedict Arnold.
All right, fine.
Of course, that's what it takes.
Then we had a 26-minute match between Joboy, Naito versus Goto, and I'm going to go Zach first because I'm sure you're going to pontificate on this.
No.
Zach, what do you think about this match? Jason, what did you think about this match?
Honestly, I really wasn't a big fan of this match. I had way more expectations coming in because I think Goto is, like I said, he's one of those players that comes in, has great matches, especially in G1 situations. It felt like this was ultimately going to go to Naito. It got there, and it wasn't the spark that I was waiting for. Something was missing. Maybe, and I hate to say this, but maybe it was the fans. Maybe we're missing that particular point where New Japan has hit that, I guess, glass ceiling, and the fans are there to get us over the top. A lot of our great memories about New Japan is with the fans and how they've gotten, over the top and pushed this match to the next level. Instead of 4-star, it's 4.5. Instead of 4.5, it's 5-star. This is where I think we were talking about Okada. I think this is where Okada is kind of missing his little spark, and this is where I think Goto and Naito missed its mark. It was good. It could have been better, and I just think that part of the reason is that the fans just can't really get into the match the way they just should.
Two Beer, what do you think about this match?
I liked it. I am a big Goto fan. He definitely, like, he's in that Issue kind of vein, right? Like, he's not going to be at the top of the card all the time, but he's definitely going to be put in there, and he's always going to give you a good, like, hard-hitting match. Like, he's not Ishii because, like, nobody in the wrestling business is. Like,
And nobody
Ishii's,
should be.
like, totally his own thing. But they are in a similar kind of vein, and this match, like, delivered a good main event for, like, a B block show. These B block shows are definitely not as good as the A block shows. A block is, like, mega stacked. B block has a lot of great talent, but there's a definite disparity in, like, the quality of matches. Like, A block seems to have amazing matches every night, whereas most B block shows might have, like, a really good one or an amazing one, but then there's, like, kind of more fillers.
No, I agree.
So this is my third G1, and I feel like it's been this way every time. Like, there's always one block that's super overloaded. I mean,
last year it felt like it was A block because B block had Moxley in it, and Moxley basically was running the block until the end.
It had Moxley, Archer, and Juice,
right?
Who, as great as they are, aren't the best workers in the world.
No, but I'll go this far.
Man, I bet Juice Robinson fans are sitting out there being like, "What the fuck did you just say about Juice?"
No, Juice is fine. Don't get me wrong. I'll go this far. I don't have a problem if you want to load one block or the other, but if you're going to do it like this, then you have to make, spoiler alert, B block gets interesting in day 8. I'll just say that. So now, if you have a loaded A block, which they do, okay, that Joker is just everybody that's really good in New Japan is on the A block. The B block is Naito and everybody else. So you have to keep the
Whoa! We got Yano.
I said.
I mean, they got Kenta.
Tanahashi.
They got Tanahashi.
Kenta and Naito on the last
Sonata
night.
and
Okay, Kenta and Naito on the final night of the G1, because it will be a B block match. Right. That'll be the final match of the tournament. That will have block implications. I'm not sure how it will happen, but that will have block implications.
Sure.
Yano, I'm not sure how
you don't
far
even have to answer that.
Yano is going to have block implications. I'm telling you. I'm not sure how it's going to happen, but he's already there with X amount of points. He's not going anywhere. Yeah, right. Motherfucker. He's over here doing the Yano.
I'm doing the Yano face at Jason while he's talking with his eyes closed. All right. All right. Let's keep it moving. Okay, we have in night 7, Suzuki versus Takahashi. Suzuki goes over. Do you guys think that Takahashi is going to go 0-9?
I said we talked about this just a few minutes ago, and I'm going to stick to this. My knee-jerk reaction is to say no. I think Takahashi deserves a little more than to go 0-9 in the G1, where he was one of the guys that kept this train moving in the pandemic era when you couldn't get anybody come back over. You had Takahashi there. Somewhere he is going to beat somebody in the A block that he has no business beating, which is pretty much everybody.
Right. Yes. I agree.
Somewhere he's going to pick up 2 points.
Okay, so this match, Ibushi versus Cobb, when I sent a flyer out to you guys earlier today, because I only had so much time to watch night 7, I said, what are the best matches to watch? Zach said Ibushi Cobb. I watched this match. I don't know why you told me to watch this match. I got to be honest.
You didn't. I loved watching Jeff Cobb just throw Ibushi around. Like, he just launched him around. Like, he gave him like an F5 that was like, it was like an F15. And,
no, I'll go this far.
He picked him up like in like a reverse like wheelbarrow. Like Ibushi was in the corner, and he had like his hands on the ropes. So Cobb picked up his feet, and then he like flung him up into like a cradle and then slammed him. Like, he just like, it was like It was like whenever you finally get like your little cousin in a pool or a trampoline and you can try out wrestling moves on him. It was like that. It was like Cobb was just doing all the moves on Ibushi. That's why I loved it.
Okay. Sure.
If this
what do you
is
think about it, Jason?
if this is a scenario where we have to say Jeff Cobb is strongman, this is one of those times where Jeff Cobb could be the strongman. I didn't think that he was going to win this match, but it's a start to where we're putting Jeff Cobb over. And I've been waiting, not patiently, but just kind of waiting that, Jeff Cobb is one of those guys that is, maybe this is me being WWE, big enough, strong enough to where he should be doing more than what he is. Why it's not happening, that's neither here nor there. I just think that Jeff Cobb...
I actually think it's here and there, but, I mean... Like we're doing
English
a wrestling
majors.
podcast.
Here comes the English majors.
We're doing
in
a
this
wrestling
motherfucker.
podcast about the G1, and if we're going to talk about it, like now, here's the place to talk about it. Where else are we going to talk about it?
I expect a little more for Jeff Cobb. I guess
All right.
ultimately that's where I'm going with it.
Fair
God
enough.
Damn.
Next up, we have Tai Chi versus Okada. Okada goes over. I actually like this match a lot better. I'm on the Tai Chi train.
Yeah.
Choo, motherfucker.
Yeah.
I like Tai Chi a lot.
Yeah.
I like that Tai Chi has nuance to his storytelling. I like that he it seems like he's having some kind of, I don't know, moral quandary about whether or not he is a bad guy or a good guy, like sometimes. I mean, it feels like he's gone full-fledged heel now, too. What do you think, Jason?
No, that plus the fact that he beat Suzuki, which is the leader of his faction. I think there's plenty of places you can go. Ultimately, I'm hoping that they just keep pushing Tai Chi strong, because they've gotten to a point in at least the last couple of G1s where he's gotten a hard push and then it's stopped and it's dropped. This is a scenario where leading up to this G1, he's been pushed strong. So now where do we go from here? I'm not sure. He's probably not going to win the block, but he should be one of those guys that's going to be in the middle of this block. The fact that he beats Suzuki shouldn't be overlooked. That should be, at some point, that needs to be retouched. I expect Gato to do this. I'm not going to worry about that. Another story for another time. But Tai Chi is a very good surprise as a G1 participant in this Joker, because, like I said, more times than not, Tai Chi feels like he's one of those guys that you'll get the points more times than not. Now it's starting to get to the point where even in this match, I really thought he was going to get Okada, but obviously he didn't. No big deal. It's the Rainmaker. But Tai Chi has been doing surprisingly well so far in this G1.
What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Tai Chi's gimmick. I like Tai Chi a lot. When he wants to go, he can go, right? Like, when he wants to turn it on, he can run with the best of them. And this was, like, a really good match. Like, technically, it was a better match than the Ibushi Cobb, like, for sure, as just, like, a psychology-based, like, professional wrestling match. I do miss... What's up?
No, I'll say Bill's, patting himself on the back, damn near breaking his arm because you agree with him, but go ahead.
I do miss Miho Abe. I think she had a little bit of Tai Chi.
Well, it's cool. I can't.
And who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? But yeah, like, I think Tai Chi has definite babyface potential.
Really?
Like Jason said. Oh yeah, for sure.
How would you?
In
How
Japan,
how can you not?
How can you flip Tai Chi babyface?
How can you not flip him babyface?
Oh,
I mean,
I think
he has great babyface
Tanahashi and Ibushi might have a couple of reasons why you can flip him babyface. There's no. I'll just go this far. Just from what I've seen so far, it would take something like Suzuki to just come in and drag Tai Chi's mama, his grandmama, half his dead relatives to come up and make Tai Chi a babyface. But Tai Chi's a heel, and that's not a problem.
You might be able to book territories here in the States, but I don't think you understand in Nippon psychology. Next up, we had Jay White versus Ospreay. Ospreay goes over. Did this surprise you, Zach?
Like, yes and no, just because like Jay White's been running the gamut, and I feel like, you know, if you're gonna, and Ospreay has also been doing really well, but I don't know. This was like a total like up in the air thing. Like, I didn't come in here thinking one way or the other. Definitely a good match, as you would expect.
Yeah,
both these guys are awesome. Kind of, again, a nice like blend of styles. Like, you know, it was an Ospreay match, but like I love so much when Jay White does the thing where he just lays down on the mat and doesn't let his opponent do their moves.
yes.
Like he would do it to Okada with the Rainmaker. Like he would just like sit down and lay down.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of like early like 98 WCW Jericho. Like just a pouty fucking little fucking bitch heel that can come back and win at any time. But like, no, I'm not going to let you do your moves. No. Nope.
No, you got to pick up this dead weight for sure. I'll just say this. Once again, this is why I like Jay White, but I wasn't surprised that Will Ospreay won. The A block is loaded, and we want to keep it as close and compact as humanly possible. At least that's what I want, okay? To where when we get to the final night, we have to look at 2 or 3 matches where tiebreakers with this person and that person are going to be in play, where you don't have to worry about half of this block is pretty much out of play. The upper half of this block where we're talking about I lost my train of thought. Bill's writing this so bad right now.
It's a Dare commercial now.
Yeah, right. This is why you stop drinking, boys and girls.
This is your brain on drugs.
Mm-hmm. Oh, like Kota Ibushi, Ospreay, Jay White, all guys that, and Okada for that matter, all guys that we all kind of thought that would have a chance to win the block, are now in this scenario where Jay White losing. That's why I thought Jay White would lose, because you don't want anybody to start running away with the block. Jay White already, like I said, already has tiebreakers over the 2 of the 3 guys that probably could have the chance to win the block, in Kota Ibushi and Okada. You couldn't have him winning this match and really start to dominate the block. And this is what I like about New Japan, where they have a scenario where they keep things interesting enough to where you still have to pay attention. Jay White is on the inside track to win this block, but it's not a lock. If he won this match on night 7, then you really would have had a scenario where it'd have been hard for them to book him out of the fact. If you wanted to have him lose the block, it'd have been really hard, because he'd have had to start losing match after match after match, and that's not going to work.
And then last up, we have Shingo versus Ishii. Zach, your thoughts on Shingo versus Ishii?
Man, this thing was just awesome. And just like I was saying last week, like, you can put this match together in your head, but it went probably 2 or 3 times longer than you would have thought it would.
A very long match.
Dude, they beat the shit out of each other for 26 minutes. And I was like, is this thing going to go to a draw? I was like,
oh, dude, I was just thinking that. And I don't think have we seen a G1 go to a draw?
I never have.
Not this time. There's been draws in the past. Like, I think that, if not last year, then 2 years ago at least. We've seen some draws, but not this year at all.
Okay. No, obviously not this year, but I mean, we've watched for like, 2-3 years or whatever. I can't honestly think that I've seen a G1 match go to a draw.
I think that
Didn't
Shingo.
Omega and Okada were in the G1 and they went to a draw, right?
No, that was Omega Okada.
They did the 60-minute Broadway.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was Omega Okada 2.
2.
That went to a draw. Shingo is becoming my favorite New Japan wrestler. Now, maybe when all this is done, we can go through this, the three of us, and we can rank 1 through 20, the guys that we like the most, the guys that we like the least. We might be able to do that as a fun little aside one day on a podcast when there's nothing going on, or like Survivor Series or something, and we can. we
What?
Can, Survivor Series always sucks.
Wow.
But we can go through and we can rank these. But is Shingo? I have a sneaky suspicion that Shingo is in Zach's top 3.
My top 3 of what?
Your top 3 of the 20 wrestlers in the G1.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He's in your top 3. I know he's in my top 3. I don't think that he's in Jason's, because Jason has Naito number 1 and 3. So there's only
so much room.
But Ishii goes over. I think that's Shingo's first loss. Is that right?
No,
they both had bad losses. Like Shingo started out his New Japan career undefeated and went through that whole battle with Super Juniors.
No, I mean in the G1.
I know. I'm just saying, like, so I was just making a broader. He went through all of that, and then Will Ospreay handed him his first defeat for the junior, and then since then it's been not parody booking. He still wins more than he loses, but he's had a rough start to the G1. So did Ishii, which is funny that they headlined because they both had rough starts. I think they were both 1 and 2 or something.
I think they're both 1 and 2.
Yeah, how are you gonna follow Shingo and Ishii, right? Even though they're both 1 and 2, and you have other people on the card that you would typically think that would headline above them, nobody wants to follow that act.
Right.
So, they just put them at the top.
So I think that next week we're going to cover
night 8,
9, 10, and 11.
Dude,
probably.
There is so much. Next week is loaded. It's like 5 matches or 5 cards in 6 nights. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They're off one day and they come back the next day. This Joker is going to be loaded next week with so much G1. It's retarded.
Okay, I'm looking forward to it. Love talking about it with you guys. Once again, if you listeners aren't watching it, we recommend it. Let's get to that 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, so because we have the predictions coming up for NXT TakeOver 31, basically the 3 counts just going to be AEW Dynamite last night that I hope you guys watched. Started off with Jaboy, Darby Allin versus Ricky Starks.
It was good. Both of these guys have bright futures, young guys. I think Ricky's pretty young, right? I don't know. He has kind of this vibe about him to where he might be an old soul or something. I don't know. But I liked the early interference because it kind of got it out of the way to where you aren't thinking about it, because they had that angle that they couldn't do last week. So Cage comes out and Will Hobbs comes out to intercept. And Will Hobbs is a player now, right?
Seems
they
like
managed
it.
to, they managed to avoid any kind of real fuckery as far as the match went, and they still managed to get an angle in there and to elevate a guy and to put him over. And I thought it was good, and I'm looking forward to Cage and Hobbs.
What do you think about Darby Allin versus Ricky Starks?
Really good chemistry. I like Ricky Starks from NWA, so I was excited for him to come to AEW, and obviously Darby Allin is one of the top 5 guys ranked in AEW, so I was kind of excited for the match. I agree with 2 Beer on this one. You kind of got the Cage versus Hobbs angle out of the way. That'll be for the FDW title next week, which I've always kind of said that they need a second title, if not have a second night. The match itself was really, really good. I think this was probably the second best match of the night.
They can both work.
They can both work. The angle where you saw Darby Allin jump off doing the coffin drop so you can see him like falling away from you was an amazing angle. You can see him like land on the back of Ricky Starr's back. It was a good match, and it sets up ultimately what's probably going to be, hopefully, fingers crossed, a FTW title run of some sort, whether it's Brian Cage, Will Hobbs, whoever the case may be. There needs to be another singles title in AEW at this point.
Looking forward to hearing what you think is the second or the first best match of the night. But next coming up, we had Cody Rhodes, his return with a bunch of Just for Men in his hair. It's like, dude, your hair doesn't have to be that black. Like, you're a younger man, unless that's part of the thing. But Cody Rhodes accepts Brody Lee's challenge for a dog collar match, which is one of those matches that I just don't look forward to very much. I don't know. It's just not my style of match.
Shit, as I'll say. This I was with Tinder last night.
That's because you're into S&M very heavily. But, I mean, it's not my type of match. Go ahead, Jason.
I'll say this, and Tinder and I agree. This should be vicious, brutal, blood everywhere. If you haven't seen a dog collar match, obviously you can go on WWE Network and kind of do your back study there, and on YouTube.
There hasn't been a whole lot.
There hasn't been a whole lot, and Cody said it best. The optics aren't good. As vice president, you don't want to see a bunch of blood between 7 and 9. But guess what? We're going to do it. It's going to happen. There's no way that Cody wasn't going to accept this match. It was just a matter of how he was going to accept it. And he did it the best way that his father would have probably wanted to do it. You know, keep us in suspense like, oh, he's not going to walk away. And the next thing you know, he comes back. He says it with conviction, the way that Dusty would do it. So, I mean, you know, like Tinder Mahal said last night, that's his – Cody is Dustin's son. And that whole promo – from start to finish, where he was talking about going to Highwood, dropping names and the whole bit to finally accepting the match, that was Cody being Dusty Rhodes again. I can't wait for it. I think it's going to be absolutely amazing.
What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, for sure. They definitely very much channel that kind of blend. They channel the old school styles and obviously blend with new school stuff, because like a lot of the criticisms of AEW, like from like the Jim Cornettes of the world and stuff, or, you know, too much of this or that's like decidedly like new school and modern era. But they are constantly throwing back to like what works in professional wrestling, like the psychology and just the basis of the nuts and bolts of pro wrestling. And you know, dog collar match, it's got to be brutal, right? Like it's got to be bloody. Cody's going to go out there on national TV, and I mean, I don't know. What's the over-under that it's bloodier than the vice presidential debate that night? That's what's going on up against it.
Jesus Christ. Is that Wednesday?
I mean, I think that's absolutely one reason why they're doing this, because after the shit show of the last debate, do we want to tune into this, although it promises to be a little bit more substantive, because Pence is rather stoic compared to Trump. He's basically a statue in comparison, even though homophobic, evil, slimy like statue, but still. The whole thing with that, you know, it could be a ratings grab, but also, you know, it's Cody, man. Like that shit works for him. He does, like, that blood and stuff. And, like,
I was getting ready to say, you know, Cody's getting ready to lay his blood out here so fans can get their money's worth. So I'm not worried about the quality of the match. The match is going to be good. It's going to be blood. It's going to be the main event. Let's get it on. How do we get from point A to point B? You know what I'm saying? Does it make sense? So far, it's made sense. You know, now we got to, you know, where's the payoff? Does Brody Lee retain? If he does, how does he do it?
I gotta admit, I'm real skeptical of it. I hope it works out. I hope nobody dies. I love Cody. I like Brody Lee. I haven't been all that. I've been a little nonplussed with Brody Lee's AEW footprint so far. I'll just put it like that. I've just been a little nonplussed. I like how they put him over huge against Cody, where he won in 3 minutes, and I feel like they haven't really done anything with it since.
You have him go against Orange Cassidy at that time.
He should have squashed him, too.
No, you cannot squash Orange Cassidy coming after.
We talked about this last week. Then you don't go against Orange Cassidy.
Fine. Okay, so that's a tactical error. There's nothing wrong with that. We see that all the time.
It's not the talent. It's the booking. Okay. We have FTR in their 20-minute Path to Glory, or whatever the fuck they're calling it. They go over SCU in what was a good match. What else do you want from these guys? They're all great workers. They're all going to put in the work. It was a fun match. I don't know how much there is to say about it. So, Jason, why don't you go for 3 minutes on it?
Best match of the night, just because now you bring in Hangman Page. That really didn't make sense until the very end. And then when you start announcing the number one contenders tournament for the next challenger to Jon Moxley, obviously we can talk about the Moxley main event here in a little bit. But for me, it was to see Hangman Page's reaction, how we saw Omega for 2 weeks. Now we got to see Hangman, and now where we can see his perspective, where he's still kind of a tag team guy, but now all of a sudden, Kenny's in this tournament. In the next week or so, Hangman's going to be in the same tournament. They're going to meet in the finals. This is where Kenny Omega and the Bucks turn heel, and it's going to lead into a full gear, some sort of I would assume Full Gear would be the main event. The winner of this number one contenders tournament would face Jon Moxley. But on the way, this is where I think we get the Bucks and Kenny Omega to finally turn heel. They just kicked the shit out of fucking Tony Schiavone in the middle of AEW Dynamite. So it's happening. It's just when and where it's going to happen. I think this is probably the right time, right place.
All right, so I told Jason to do 3 minutes on something that I thought he was going to not be able to do anything on, and he actually did 90 seconds. Zach, what did you think?
Oh, yeah, I mean, the story was definitely, of the match, was kind of overshadowed by the Hangman Omega story. Even though FTR are the champions, the focus of the tag team story, very much still resides in the territory of the Elite. Which is fine because they definitely put over FTR strong, and they are decidedly the champions, and they're always talking about how they're the best tag team in the world. But yeah, this was, fantastic. I mean, you just, you think in your head, if you were to see this on the card beforehand, be like, oh, SCU versus FTR, you're like, oh, this is going to be a banger match, and it absolutely was. Frankie Kazarian, Scorpio Sky, awesome. Absolutely awesome. Speaking of the G1, put either one of those guys in the G1 and you increase your B block, fivefold, right? It'd be fucking great.
Well,
But anyway,
fifth and butts.
I mean, who would you replace though? Honestly,
in the B block.
In the B block, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, you got Yano.
Yano, I was going to say, is there really a question?
Sure, Yano. Goto? Yoshihashi?
Yes,
You
Yoshihashi.
definitely could, yeah. Especially because those guys have all...
No, Kenta has the...
I wouldn't replace Kenta.
Juice?
No, Juice just got back.
Evil?
No, you can't. He's
Zack Sabre Jr.?
Hell no.
Sonata?
No.
So,
we just said it.
I know you want to see all these guys in there.
Yoshihashi, so there's no...
have done G1s before. That's what I'm getting at. You could, Moxley, there was somebody that could have taken Moxley's place, but Goto's been in how many G1s? Is he great? Yeah, but is it any better because he's in it? Compared to somebody new and fresh and awesome and full of energy? Absolutely not. Yoshihashi, same kind of thing. Whatever.
Takahashi shouldn't be in it. So, But
You guys said B block.
Okay. Yoshihashi won.
You guys are
Yano 2.
You guys are falling into that smart trap of you want everybody to be pushed to the top of the card. Everybody to be.
Who said that?
I just said I want to see Frankie Kazarian in the G1.
Okay,
Yeah,
and you said kick somebody out. We just kicked two people out.
You said either one of those guys.
Either or.
Okay, so who else do you want in the G1? You want everybody in the G1.
No.
What this is saying is that G1 is the best tournament that there is. It's the best that wrestling has to offer. You guys don't have to keep defending yourselves. You guys just have to put over the G1. I'm going to go take a piss. Hey, next up we have Jericho versus Isaiah Cassidy. Jason, what do you think?
I'll go here first. I'll just say this, and I love the fact that Chris Jericho is putting over everybody. Everybody that he even comes close to has a stepping stone up. My only problem is that now you're trying to get Luther and Serpentico over. Not unless you watch AEW Dark, you don't even know who these two jokers are. Okay, so now it just looks like Chris Jericho is fighting some guy with a painted eye on his forehead and some guy in a mask. There's a lot of people that I know that really don't watch AEW Dark. Okay, I get it. I guess you're trying to get Luther over, but I mean, Jericho and Hager shouldn't even be a tag team. You know, you already have the tag team in the faction with Santana and Ortiz. And I hate to admit it, but somebody said this to me a long, long time ago, is that, and it's starting to come a little bit full circle, that the rest of the inner circle are like Jericho's minions, and Jericho is the puppeteer. And this is why I'm really hoping that the segment that led into Jericho and MJF in the backstage, where MJF's passing out the jackets, forgot Sammy's jacket, but we get to the end and Jericho defended MJF. I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to really cement the idea that MJF is going to come to the inner circle and he's going to slowly infiltrate the inner circle, take it over. That's how you have Jericho turn face, have a face run before he goes off in the commentary.
So what you're saying is that Jericho is Farouk and MJF is The Rock.
Yep.
Yeah. I will respectfully disagree with a little bit of what you said, just because with the Jake Hager and Jericho, I think them being a tag team is great just because it keeps both of them away from Moxley. Like, it gives them something else to do, kind of like what they did with Hangman and Omega, right? Like, giving them like a tag team goal keeps them out of the title contention, where you're not constantly like, well, why aren't they fighting for the title? Because you don't want like, either one of them to lose.
Agreed.
So I do like that aspect. And yeah, this match, like with like Jericho, like you said, he's just putting people over. And with the Luther thing, like, I mean, it's his 30th anniversary. Like, he's known Luther, and like they came up together 30 years ago. So it's just like a one-off match. That, like,
yeah, they're boys.
Okay, see,
so,
I didn't
like,
know they were boys, so that makes total sense now. I'll take that back.
I mean, basically Luther's filling the role that like Lance Storm can't, right? Because,
okay,
like,
then I stand corrected.
Lance Storm would be in that role if like there was no pandemic.
That's exactly right.
Well, actually, if there was no pandemic, he'd still be working for WWE, so he wouldn't be in that role. But yeah, like, so that's the thing, and it's just gonna be like, it's like Jericho's 30th anniversary. I think it'll be fun.
Then shit, let him do what he wants. I honestly, I really didn't know that him and Luther were boys and boys like that. Then a lot of my problems were basically centered upon the fact that it didn't make sense to me. You know what I'm saying? This just seemed, and they could have done a better job of like telling that story, right? Well, they kind of said it after the fact, but then after the fact that it's after the match is over and all this other nonsense, and I'm like, okay, so what the fuck? This doesn't make any sense still. I mean, so what? They knew each other. They're Stu Hart's, guys that were in Stu Hart's dungeon. I mean, hell, if you were worth salt, you're in Stu Hart's dungeon regardless. So,
At least if you were Canadian.
Mm.
So
Real quick before
Sure.
sorry, I just want to say this match was way better than it had any right being, and it was like apparently Jericho just wants to put over everybody named Cassidy in the promotion because this thing was better than two of the Orange Cassidy matches. I think like it was good, and I didn't expect it to be good.
No, not at all. I had a very low bar for this, and Isaiah Cassidy probably shouldn't talk, but he damn sure can wrestle.
I agree completely. He probably shouldn't talk yet.
But right now the talent is there.
They could probably, Private Party could probably do with a mouthpiece like Kingston. Like I'd rather them be with Kingston than the Lucha Brothers because the Lucha Brothers can stand on their own.
Isn't Matt Hardy that guy for them though?
Okay, you kind of stole my thunder.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're exactly right. I forgot about that. So I'm gonna go back a little bit. I'm gonna delete the last 30 seconds, and then we'll go back to. So there were actually two really funny parts that come up next in AEW Dynamite. The first one was Miro and Kip Sabian, where Miro was talking about Rumspringa. That actually made me laugh, like a legitimate laugh, where he goes, Rumspringa, where you can get really drunk and try to test your liver, or you can come back and be Amish. What? And
yeah, I was getting ready to
Billy
say
Mitchell
over
came
my
up.
head.
Billy Mitchell came out. If you've ever seen the King of Kong documentary, if you've never seen the King of Kong documentary, Billy Mitchell is the biggest heel in wrestling that's not actually in wrestling. I recommend you go see that documentary.
That's awesome.
The MJF Inner Circle segment was really funny. MJF and Jericho are really good together. Is there a possibility that Jericho goes on a babyface run later on and MJF takes over as the head of the Inner Circle?
It's like he's reading my mind, boys and girls.
Really?
I said it. That's what I think this is going to happen. Somehow they are going to marry this shit, and MJF is going to take this joke over. Somehow I don't know how we get there, but you know Jericho has to have a babyface run. It has to happen.
It probably shouldn't happen in front of no fans, but...
Okay, so we're taking the long way around it. Do you want me to be in the Inner Circle? Do you want me to be in the Inner Circle? We can play this game all day long. That segment, I can watch that all day long.
Yeah, it was really funny.
All day
What'd you think about it, Zach?
Oh, yeah, fantastic. And I love the slow burn. They're not in any hurry, right?
And you shouldn't be.
They're also
none of those guys are going anywhere.
They're also really good with each other.
Yeah, they play off each other very well. I mean, sometimes you don't know who's the straight guy, and that's a good thing.
Man, I cackled when MJF left, and Jericho goes, "Hey, don't talk so much next time, Wardlow." And then Sammy Guevara goes, "Man, that guy sucks." And Jericho takes a sip of the champagne. He goes, "Hold on. Maybe he doesn't."
Okay.
And that was how it ended the segment. That's legit funny.
And it opens the door for that to continue. I'm telling you, MJF is taking over the Inner Circle.
All right. So you and I came to that independently. We have not talked about that I know of. If we did, it was very late at night while you were staying at the bar after hours when you're not supposed to be there. Next up, we had Britt Baker versus Red Velvet. Britt Baker goes over. It's a nice showcase for Britt Baker. I'm just going to say this. I've seen Red Velvet a couple times on After Dark, and I'm a fan.
You ain't shit.
We had Moxley versus The Butcher, who gained something in defeat, I would say. Do you disagree, Zach?
No, not really. Definitely, as far as matches go, it's got to be the main event because it's Moxley. But seemed kind of weird. Not really lackluster or anything, but I mean, Butcher, he actually rubbed from being in a championship match. Like WWE does it all the time, and they say they get the rub, but it actually just buries people. Like Butcher, got a rub here.
No, I agree. Best Butcher match, whether it's tag team or singles. Probably this is his first singles match that I can think of. I'll go this far. I was really looking for Pac. I mean, I had my head wrapped around the fact that Pac would be that guy. And when I saw Butcher, it was a little underwhelming, and that's the word I would use. It's no disrespect to Butcher, but I had my sights set on filet mignon, and you gave me, I guess, pastrami, which is not a bad thing. I like pastrami.
Yeah, but do you want Pac? Do you want Pac to be involved with Eddie Kingston?
Well, if you want to play the storyline game, Pac is a part of.
Is this a game to you?
Death Triangle.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I'm saying. Before the world changed, him, Penta, Phoenix, that was Death Triangle, and we were all excited about that. Where that had the chance to go, and possible trio titles.
Wait, who was that? I can't remember.
That was Pac, Ray Phoenix, and
Pentagon?
Well, no, I can't remember what his new name is now. But, I mean, yeah, that's...
Penta L0M.
Thank you. That was Death Triangle before the pandemic.
I forgot about that. That had a lot of potential.
Exactly. That's who I thought it was going to be. And I was like, oh, they're playing it off so smooth. It's the mystery guy. Here comes back. Oh, wait, it's Butcher. But he got himself over. God bless him. He got himself over. Really, it was a good match.
He really does look like a guy you just pulled out of a bar and you're like, hey, go fight this dude.
Here's some overalls. Here's a cleaver. Knock yourself out.
Which I appreciate. If there's nothing else that you guys want to talk about with AEW...
Did we miss anything? Just, the lack of women once again is disappointing. I mean, Britt Baker, I love Britt Baker, but one women's match is not the deal. If you're going to go steal Thunder Rosa, then go steal Thunder Rosa. Outside of that, then...
what's interesting is that every Wednesday I turn on NXT and AEW at the same time. I even have it set up on my favorites like I talked about last week, and every single Wednesday, NXT starts off with a women's match. It's like they know. It's like they know that AEW is not going to start off with a women's match. So if you're into women's wrestling, maybe a little bit more than other people, you'll tune in to NXT. It's got to be counter-programming. But AEW's women division sucks so bad. It really does. Like
I can't defend it. I can't.
NXT is stacked.
It's stacked, but they're
focusing.
They're starting to do something now, but it's still kind of convoluted. Where like Xia Li kind of turning heelish doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I know. Okay, let's get on to predictions. You ready for that, Zach?
Sure.
Oh, he sounds real into it.
1, 2, 3.
That's great.
All right. We got NXT 31 coming up this weekend, boys. And I'm telling you what, on a macro level, it does not look very bad at all.
No.
It looks pretty fucking good. If it was the old days and they were fighting in front of the Full Sail crowd,
it could get this over. It really could.
This would be a very good-looking card. But let's start with the NXT Cruiserweight match, which is Santo Escobar versus Isaiah Swerve Scott. Zach, I'll let you go first.
Like, they're finally getting around to this match, right? I know we've seen some of it, but we're finally getting around to the match I thought we were going to have last TakeOver. But I feel like this is Swerve's time to shine, right? Like, I feel like the Cruiserweight title doesn't mean much more than it did when it was on 205 Live, unfortunately, even though I like Santos Escobar. But I feel like it is Swerve's chance to, get a little shine from it.
So you're going Swerve?
Yep.
I'm going to go Santos Escobar just because the only reason they would take the belt off of Santos Escobar right now is if they were moving him up to the main roster because he's a Mexican who speaks English very well. And I know that Vince likes that a whole lot. It seems like Vince is down on Andrade, and if we could trade Andrade back down to NXT and send Santos Escobar up there, all due respect to Santos Escobar, I would take that trade because Andrade's getting buried up there. Keith Lee and Andrade had a match on Raw that lasted 3 minutes. That's a crime against wrestling fans. I'm taking Santos Escobar, but I see your point. Jason, what do you take?
Man, I totally forgot about Keith Lee versus Andrade.
It was pathetic. Man. No bueno.
No bueno. I'm going to take Santos Escobar on this. I haven't seen a lot of 205, so I can't really dig into the program.
It's still on?
Yeah, it comes on. Yeah, it comes on after SmackDown or whatever.
Oh my God. I thought when they made it the NXT title, they just stopped.
No, they did. But okay, see, and there lies kind of the problem where they haven't kind of linked it over. Like before the world changed, you always heard about 205 would be after SmackDown. 205 would be after SmackDown. You don't see that anymore. You don't hear that anymore.
You're talking about before the world changed, like it's the Stand or something.
Hey man, shit, weird shit is happening in 2020. I'll say it like that.
Yeah,
and I'll leave it like
the NBA's still going on. It's like
you can still bet. So
there's
we're
still
good.
WrestleMania.
Yeah, hey, WrestleMania with no fans. So like I said, weird shit happens. The only reason I'm picking Escobar is because I don't think that anybody really knows Swerve. They've done a vignette on him, which was good, but unless you're really watching 205, there's no real investment. You still kind of know who Escobar is, and that's not really saying that much. So I'm just going to stick to the standard quo on this one. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. There's no disrespect to Swerve. I think he's great. I just think they're going to keep it with Escobar. So, all
right, Jason, you're going first this time. We have Io Shirai versus Candice LeRae for the Women's NXT Championship. Who you got?
I'm going to stick to the script. Champions retained. Io retains. I don't see a reason why you take this off of her. Rhea Ripley's already now in a feud with Rhea Gonzalez. Mercedes Martinez is gone. So unless there's fuckery coming from Johnny Gargano, I really wish they had built up Candice before this. It just feels like, we're running out of people to work with. So now here's Candice LeRae when she should have been here 6 months ago. But we're here now. I just think that Io, unless you're moving her up, which the draft is right around the corner, that's the only reason why she loses. Otherwise, she retains. I'll take Io.
Two beer, Zach. Who are you taking?
I'm taking Io for all the reasons that Jason said.
Fair enough. I'm taking Candice LeRae. Because, and this is
she better be moving up.
This is going to go into my next pick, is that I see Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano both winning their matches this night, and we're going to have Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano walk around being the heel couple of NXT, which means I'm taking Candice LeRae. And then coming up next, we have Johnny Gargano versus Damian Priest. Did you see a lesser podcast host probably would have not been able to snake themselves into two different picks at the same time. Mm-hmm. But that's how much of a professional I am.
Yeah, I'm going 175, baby.
I'm going Johnny Gargano.
Unreal.
Is going to beat Damian Priest, which now that I said it, I'm like, why the fuck did I pick that? Like, how stupid is that? Damian Priest is doing so great as a babyface, but Damian Priest is also a Vince McMahon type of dude because he's so huge. Damian Priest is doing a great job as a babyface.
No, keep talking. Keep talking.
Who do you have, Jason?
Come on, man. Is this serious? Look, Two Beer, you might want to plug yours for this one. I don't give two rats asses. Johnny Gargano's been there, done that. What is the North American title at this point going to get Johnny Gargano over anymore? Okay? At this point, he is here for a reason. He's here to get Damian Priest over.
I think you forget how much the NXT roster has been starting to be booked like the main roster.
Agreed. However, this makes sense. And somewhere in the delves of NXT, there is a little logic.
That's not a word.
Look, man.
Delves isn't the word.
How about kick you in the face? Is that a phrase? God damn. This motherfucker. Okay, thank you. Somewhere there's logic that makes sense. Damian Priest needs to be the champion for a little bit. There's no reason for Johnny Gargano to be the champion. If you wanted to do this heel versus, well, not heel versus heel, but heel couple, that means Io has to lose. And only if Io loses, that means you got to move her up. And I don't see that happening because the women's roster is past Io, Candice, Rhea. It's not much.
Who do you have, Zach?
I have Damian Priest. He's got that big dick energy, boy.
Suckers.
He's doing so great compared to whenever he first started. Even like with fans, he's like doing better without fans. Just because I feel like he's
awesome.
He's gotten his sea legs in NXT. And remember when he started out as like that playboy kind of thing, and he's like steal your girl kind of guy, and you're like, it came off as like so forced and so lame, and I'm like,
they call that Bill Vagey corner.
And then like he wins the title and he jumps in that hot tub with Brandy Lauren and like these other like hot chicks, and like legitimately like ruins his gear. Like it's like he made that HBK gear because like apparently he spent too long in that hot tub and it ruined his leather gear. So he had to get new gear, and that's the most babyface thing ever. And I don't know why they didn't tell that story, but yeah, like he's doing great, man. Like I'm picking against Johnny Gargano, which is unheard of.
Unheard of, yeah.
Me.
All right, coming up next, we have Kushida versus Velveteen Dream in a feud that I'm not sure why it exists. I'm going to let Jason go first this time.
You gotta take Dream here. I guess it's a way to get Kushida on TV. I don't understand this. Kushida should be in the cruiserweight division, chasing after Swerve, Santos Escobar, guys of this ilk. This whole thing doesn't even make sense. I guess you're just trying to use the roster. You got Velveteen Dream back, unless you, I don't know. I guess Dream is the problem. Kushida's not the problem. Dream is the problem because you really don't know what you need to do with him, where you want to go with him. But unfortunately, I think he goes over here.
Zach, what you got?
I got to pick Kushida just because I feel like Dream's in the doghouse, right? Like, or he should be. Like, he's not fully in the doghouse, but he absolutely should be. It's kind of like whenever, like Hunter's, the one booking this. And if you guys remember the curtain call where, like, whenever Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, like, went off to WCW, but there was an MSG show where, like, Hunter and Shawn and those guys, like, all hugged after a show, even though they were, like, faces and heels. And the only one that got punished out of it was Hunter because they weren't going to punish Shawn Michaels. They were just going to punish Hunter. Like, I feel like Hunter's still got a little old school mentality of like, if you fuck up, like you're going to pay the price. And Dream's way better with fans. And Kushida's an established like thing, and he's not getting any younger. And usually I'd say have the younger guy go over the older guy, but like not in this case. Like I want Kushida to like break his arm. Like I want to see his elbow pop out of its socket.
This is my lock of the week.
Oh my God.
Kushida,
Really?
Is that a new gimmick?
Kushida, yeah, I just did it for the first time. Did you like it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
I was about to say, you can go with that.
Kushida.
I'm going to make fun of it when we break this lock.
Kushida goes over.
No.
Dude, all they've done is put Kushida over on TV for like 5 weeks straight, over and over and over again, and they keep talking about how aggressive he is and how tough he is and all this shit. He keeps going over. Velveteen Dream only showed up on the big screen as, they wouldn't even let him go into the ring. I'm with Zach. Velveteen Dream is getting punished as he should be. Kushida is getting pushed as he could be. I'm going to call him Pushida. He's getting pushed. He goes over. That's my lock of the week.
Whatever.
You had me until Pushida.
What'd you say?
You had me until Pushida.
That's Kushida.
That's great.
Coming up next, finally, we have what guarantees to be a barn burner of a match. Two guys that I'm not sure if they ever fought against each other.
From what KOR says, no.
We have Kyle O'Reilly, the ostensible heel. I mean, he's still with Undisputed Era. They are presenting him as a huge babyface here. And he's going against Finn Balor. I'll go first here. There's a couple different ways you can go. Either because Adam Cole put him over huge after he beat Austin Theory the other night in NXT, which actually was a really fun match.
No, it was good.
It was really good.
I'll hold that thought for 30 seconds. Austin Theory, I'll put that in the back of my head. Go ahead.
So you could have Adam Cole come in here and ruin it for Kyle O'Reilly. You could have the Undisputed Era breakup on TakeOver this Saturday night. You could have Kyle O'Reilly go over Finn Balor, and then you start the Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole seething, break up the Undisputed Era type thing. Or you could have Finn Balor go over and have Adam Cole somehow cost him. Or you can have Finn Balor go over clean. I think Finn Balor going over clean is the least likely. I haven't talked myself into this yet, but I...
Say it. You know you're going to do it.
Nah, I'm going Finn Balor. Fuck.
Pussy.
Oh, I'm so weak.
Pussy.
Oh, so
you
weak.
talked all that bullshit. You talked all that
Oh,
bullshit.
such a pussy.
You talked all that bullshit. You talked all that bullshit just 5 minutes ago, and now you take the easy way out.
Even the cat left me.
Yeah,
Even
right.
the cat ran
I
off
was
the
about to
couch.
say, you know what? Yeah, pussy, I'm leaving. I'll go next. This has got to be Finn Balor. I'm sorry. I mean, to me, it's how you get Kyle O'Reilly over, because it's got to be the reason why you're doing this. But more importantly, where does Adam Cole go from here? There's multiple ways you can do it. They left it open for interpretation. The one thing I do like about this match is that they did the Kyle O'Reilly vignette or face-to-face before the match first
Real good stuff.
versus Jey Uso, which they did it after the fact, where they had the match and then they put the Chronicle out, which made no sense. If you go, I mean, that match was so fucking good if you did it the right way.
Are you talking about Jey Uso?
Yeah, if you did put the Jey Uso Chronicle out first. If you won the match, you put the Chronicle out, you have it build up for 3 weeks, and then you have the match.
Sorry, everybody. The Jason Bell record just skipped.
Shut up.
We're
Neither
talking
here nor
about
there.
TakeOver here, dude.
I'm still taking Finn Balor. It should still be a great match. I think that they're going to separate Adam Cole from Kyle O'Reilly and the rest of the bunch, and this is how you start to do it. Kyle O'Reilly starting to be the head of the new Undisputed Era while Adam Cole gets drafted to either Raw or SmackDown, whichever it is.
Zach, who you got?
Yeah, Balor. I don't know about the overall storyline implications. They're telegraphing a couple things. I just do appreciate how strongly, in the short time, they've been able to put over Kyle O'Reilly with the vignette, and also with Finn Balor saying, if anyone else was holding this title, you'd be winning it on Saturday, but I'm holding it and you're not, right? Like, I think that is a great way to stay strong and also to put over your challenger, to where anything could happen.
It's going to be a fun pay-per-view that I can't wait to watch, either at 2 o'clock in the morning, Sunday, or Thursday right before we do the podcast next week.
On silent.
On silent.
Which doesn't matter because we're in a pandemic, so there's no crowd anyway.
Yeah, right.
So we got some birthdays this week. We have Curtis Axel, still has not been eliminated from that Royal Rumble a couple years ago. He's 41. Yokozuna is only 54. Does that sound right?
Did he stop aging after he died, or what?
No, he keeps aging. He's just aging inward. John Morrison is 41. Chief Jay Strongbow, can you believe he's 92?
I'm going to go ahead and say that he might be dead, too.
Well, he was a racist because he wasn't even Native American.
Wow.
Abyss is 47.
Definitely alive.
Linda McMahon, she's been living too long. She's in the Trump administration. Piss on her.
Dude,
Fuck
wow.
her.
Really? That's how we doing it?
So I remember getting called out on Terry Runnels last year. She's 54 this year because I think I called her Goldust's sister.
That would sound about right for you, yeah.
But
watching too much Pornhub.
That's stepsister, bro.
Right.
I can't believe how many people, like, Pornhub doesn't lie. That's how many people want to fuck their family members. That's so fucking weird to me, man.
Pass.
But as Tinder Mahal would say, hey, I know she's not my stepsister. Zima Ion is 34. Bruno Sammartino would have been 85. R.I.P. Demolition Smash. 61.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I think he's RIP too.
Rhino.
Definitely alive.
You want to guess how old he is?
My age plus 50.
He's 45. Aiden English
Jesus Christ.
is 33. You know what the weird thing about Aiden English's birthday this week is that his birthday falls on Rusev Day. Hey, everybody.
Every day is Rusev Day.
We know there's tons of podcasts to listen to, so we appreciate you guys listening to ours. Listen, I want you guys to go out this year and vote. And don't vote for yourself. Vote like you're voting for your fellow man, your neighbors that live around you, the people that need your vote the most vulnerable people you know. Vote for them. For F&B Eatery.
Check.
For Murray the Man Murray.
Check.
For Lucha Chris.
Check.
For Two Beer Zach Pullman.
Check.
For Bo Vice Geisman.
Check.
For Jason Cornelius Bell. I am
Beach
Bill
Wild
Baggy.
bitches.
Support your local weed dealers.
Check.
Black Lives Matter.
Check.
And boo the heels.
Boo!
Lives matter. And boo the heels.
Boo, bitches.